that roof line, right, is probably 12 feet high on a single. So let's divide this, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's 7 feet high. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That's 10 feet high. So that's about a foot in terms of scale on the line I drew, right? Okay, relatively speaking. So my eye level is 2 feet from the top of the house. Everybody see how I established that, right? Eye level, top of house. Most of the line is below my eye level. So that means my head has moved up in space. No, that's very good. Okay, excellent point, Brianna. So Brianna says, or I'm just looking up, like I'm down low looking up. No, remember that doesn't count, right? Remember when you're sitting in the hall, you can look up, you can look down, you can look left, you can look right. That horizon line represents your head in space relative to the thing you're drawing. I can look up to clouds, right? So I can look anywhere. That line represents your position relative to the thing you're drawing. So that's a really good point you brought up. This horizon line is representing my head level, eye level, relative to the thing I'm drawing. So in this scenario, my head level is way up high on the house, meaning I'm on a ladder. Or I'm very tall.
Why can't you just be farther away?
Doesn't matter. It's an abstraction. That line represents my eye level. Doesn't matter how close or how far away I am from the thing I'm drawing. That line represents my eye level relative to the thing. So let me draw a picture for you just to show you, okay? Vanishing point, right? Vanishing point. That's going down a little bit, right? So the top lines of my house slightly go down to the vanishing points. Bottom lines radically go up to the vanishing points. So that creates a shape that gives the appearance of me looking down on it. See how angular that is, right? I'm up high looking down on the house. Let's reverse it. Remember, this is a construct. So this horizon line, those vanishing points, are creating a scenario for you to accurately render point of view. That's all perspective is. Point of view. So the majority of the line, in this case, is well above the horizon line, right? Remember, the horizon line is not where the ground and land come together. I'm sorry, the ground and sky come together, or the ocean and sky come together. It's your point of view relative to the thing you're drawing. So let's draw this. Look how flat that bottom line is now for the house. Hardly any angle to that at all. Lots of angle here. See, that's almost horizontal, isn't it? So if your head was way down low, literally, what if your head is like right on the ground and you close this eye and you just use the eye that's on the ground looking at the house? Literally, your eye would be at ground level, right? So the house would be at your, right? So that line going across for the bottom house would be absolutely straight. Now see how it looks like we're looking up at the house.
I have a question.
And it's just a matter of where that first line you draw is relative to the horizon. Yeah.
If this is the scenario that we choose to draw,
Yeah.
where we're looking up, Does the house, does the picture, does that dictate that the picture needs to be situated in the upper portion of the page?
No, that's an excellent question. That's composition. Okay, so if I wanted to draw this view, right? Me laying on the ground looking up at the house, right? That point of view, that perspective of me sitting on the ground looking up. Remember in the hallway when we had some artists sitting on the floor, right? And their horizon line was low relative to that wall, right? Same scenario. We're just making this drawing up, that's all, okay? If I were to draw this, look at all this empty space down here. That's wasted space potentially on my drawing, right? So how would I fix that? Move the whole thing down. That's not changing my point of view. I'm moving the horizon line with the house down. I'm just recomposing the drawing. Remember, the horizon line's position on the paper means nothing. The horizon line's position relative to the thing you're drawing means everything. So I could put that horizon line anywhere on my drawing. Okay? That's composing the drawing. That's saying how much space I want above and below the horizon line. The moment I draw an element relative to that horizon line, all of a sudden that becomes perspective. So everybody understand that? I could take this whole drawing, move it down, including horizon line, keep it just the way it is, and I'm not changing my sense of perspective on the house. I'm just recomposing the drawing. That's a tough one. That's one that most students have a hard time wrapping their head around. Most people do, even I do. You know. That all that horizon line is dictating point of view relative to the thing you're drawing. Okay? You're going to have a hard time with that. Okay? Here's the rule of thumb I would do. Okay? You'll see in a second why. Put the horizon line about maybe 2/3 to a half up the height of the paper. Gives you a nice balance between above horizon line and below horizon. Okay? So when you strike that, and make sure it's horizontal, measure down from the paper and make sure it's horizontal. But when you put that horizon line on there, just kind of a little above halfway. Just make it more comfortable to draw. Okay? Again, that means nothing. What means something is the object I'm drawing relative to that. Okay? Can everybody see how changing the position of this front corner relative to the horizon line changes the point of view of the drawing? Okay, you see that now? Yeah? No? Okay. All right. What's that? What do we say? A little more, okay. That's all we can ask for, right? Yeah, that's all we can ask for. Just think about it, I'm sitting here next to the house. Remember I said when you look down the hallway, imagine your head hitting the end of the hallway, right? Where you're sitting, height-wise, right? So if I'm sitting down on a chair here looking down the hallway, my head's a certain level in the space, right? I go all the way down to the end of the hallway. My head hits the hallway right there. I'm still a certain height in the space, right? I can look up, I can look down, I can look left, I can look right. It's where my head is in position to the thing I'm drawing. Height, in this case, for the height of it, okay? All right. Okay. Now you're going to have to draw all these elements. So take mental note here. Here's your piece of paper. Start with your horizon. Arbitrarily put 2 vanishing points. When I say arbitrarily, you're making up this drawing. You're inventing the drawing, okay? You want to get them out as far as possible. I'll show you that in a second, how we're going to do that. Vertical line represents corner of the house, corner of the box. How about broken down house here? How high is my head relative to the house I'm going to draw? About halfway up the height of the house, right? There you go. Okay. So if I walked up to that house and my head hit the corner of that house that I'm going to draw, it would hit right at halfway, right? I walk backwards. It's still, the height of my head is still the same. Gives me the point of view, okay? That's pretty good. That's a good thing. It's kind of a boring point of view, but for the drawing, you guys are just going to start learning how to do this. Boring's not bad. It gives you a space to understand concepts. Okay. All right. What do I do with that and that? Yep. Now remember, this is at eye level, right? So theoretically, I'm not going to see the top or bottom of the box, right? Brandon.
Why do you connect front dimension and
It gives me it's a system. It's giving me a consistency. It reflects reality, okay? Like these, if I had a box set in front of me, the size of that box would get, as they move away, remember the first rule of perspective is something that's further away from you appears smaller than something close to you, right? So when I draw the side of this plane right here, which would be the side of the house, right? That's got to be shorter than this to give that illusion of it being further away from you, right? So these two lines that converge at a vanishing point, that vanishing point is giving me consistency to relay the fact that this is going to be shorter than this. So these parallel lines in reality have to converge at some point, and they call that the vanishing point. So it's just a construct or a system, linear perspective, that enables us to deal with geometric shapes in space and give the illusion of three-dimensionality. Okay? That's why they're doing that, is to create that illusion that this plane is getting smaller as it moves away from it. Because remember, the closest thing to me is what? That corner right there, right? Yeah. The rest of the planes disappear as they move away. Okay? Does that make sense? Yeah. It's just a system. Okay? That enables us to deal with geometric shapes in perspective. Giving the illusion of three-dimensionality. Okay? Doesn't really exist, right? There's no vanishing points. Not even a horizon line. But it's a construct or a system that, as artists, we have to rely on to create that illusion. That's a really good question. So we'll call this the front of the house here, okay? So, right side of the house, left side of the house. And again, I would advise you, so you don't get too many, you do away with those called the lines of projection. Keep them there lightly so I see that you've done it, okay? But just kind of erase those away for the most part so it doesn't get too So we got a box. We don't see the top. We don't see the bottom. But let's make it into a glass house so we can see the back left wall, the back right wall, the floor, the ceiling. And by the way, if you live in a glass house, you shouldn't do what?
Sneeze.
Get dressed on the first floor.
Never heard that one. What did you say?
Get dressed on the first
No, that either. Come on. If you don't.
floor. Roast them.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. You live in a glass house, don't throw stones. All right. Now, how do I draw the floor of this glass house?
Carefully.
Carefully. That's right, because it's glass. Right?
Yes.
I go to the opposite vanishing points. Right? I got two choices in a 2-point scheme. That vanishing point or that vanishing point for a horizontal line. Vertical lines are just vertical. That's your choices. Makes it easy. Kind of. That goes over there. Don't know how far yet. Remember, that's going behind that, right? This goes over here. Kind of hard to do on the board. Now they meet right there. So that's the back corner of the house. So can you see the floor kind of moving across the plane? Here's the floor. How about the ceiling? How would I draw that? Same thing, yep. And if I get everything right, it goes to there, this goes to here. That will be right above that on a vertical. And I've seen it done many, 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 many times. And occasionally it doesn't work for a student. This won't connect right below that when you crisscross your lines. That means something's a little off. So you got to go back to the drawing board, no pun intended. And make sure your angles are all right. Make sure your horizontals horizontal, your horizon lines horizontal, etc. Okay. All right. Can you see the transparent house here? Right. I'll go over the planes for you. Floor, back left wall, back right wall, front left wall, that's the original one, right? Front right wall, ceiling. Let's go over that last. Now, I'm going to tell you, when you're drawing this, if you've never drawn this before, you're going to be this close to it, right? And you're just going to see a bunch of lines crisscrossing. Get the drawing away from you. Take a step back. Turn around. Clear your head. Look at it from a distance. And you'll see that illusion start to take effect. It's an illusion. There's nothing more, remember, than a bunch of lines on a sheet of paper, or in this case, blue ink marks on white chalkboard, right? Creating the illusion of three-dimensional. Okay. For the time being, let's get rid of the interior. I want you to show me the interior before you move on, though. So I want to see a transparent cube that you've drawn at eye level is going to become your house. Okay. Now we're going to put a roof. Again, this is very elemental. Okay. But you know, gable. They call it gable roof, which is just a triangle. Oh, we've got square, rectangle, triangle. This is the nature of the world we live in, okay, which is geometry, right? Let's put a triangle right above this plane. Here's a rectangular plane. We're going to put a triangular plane right above it. We're going to merge those two into one plane, the side of the house. Triangle. Now, it's in geometric terms, you know, that's still a triangle, but it's that's a rectangle. What's it called, rhombus, or what's a
Trapezoid.
trapezoid? Well, yeah, trapezoid. Yeah, when it's four-sided figure, the edges aren't necessarily parallel, right? So that's a trapezoid in reality, right? But we're looking at it as the side of a house. Does that triangle I put on there, does the peak look like it's above the middle of the side of the house? No. Looks off. How do I find the middle? Chris, you might know this. We talked about it. Of this shape right here.
You connect the upper left with the lower right.
Yeah, you talked about it too, right? That board, yeah. You make an X in that space. So what that X does is it crosses, right? That's creating the visual middle of this shape. So this will be a little less than this, in theory, you know, if I had a ruler and was drawing it. From here to here will be just a tad bit less than from here to here. That fits perfectly into our scenario of things that are further away from us appear to be smaller, right? So we're finding the visual middle of this thing. If I were to measure this, let's say this is 6 inches from here to here, right? I could lay the ruler down and find the halfway point at 3 inches, right? But it wouldn't look right. It wouldn't look correct. We need to infer that the back half of this plane is a little smaller than the front half, and the X is a really nice way to do that. Because you're connecting the corners of a shape that's not perfectly square. So the middle is going to be pushed in that direction. It's kind of fun with math. Okay. Now what do I do with that middle point?
Draw a vertical line.
Vertical. Verticals are verticals are verticals are verticals are verticals. I go straight up. Somewhere along that dotted line is going to be the peak of the roof, and I know it's going to be in the right place. I can make a steep pitched roof, or I can make a real flat roof, okay? I would advise the steep pitched roof given you know, where we live in Cleveland, Ohio, because the snow will pile up, and you don't want your roof to collapse, okay? So, plus you want to, I want you to show me what's happening on the roof if you want to put shingles or a chimney or whatever. So you could make a really low pitched roof right there, right? I wouldn't be able to see up on the roof, right? It's not high enough pitch. As long as it's in that on that dotted line node, it's in the right place, right? Or I can make a high pitched roof up here. As long as it's on that dotted line. Okay? Everybody understand that? I have not drawn the side of the roof yet. All I've drawn is the shape extending up from this plane to create the side of the house, right? Again, this looks kind of elemental, but if you've not done this before, which most of you haven't, it's complicated. All right, now we got to finish the roof off. And we know that's called a ridge line. That's the line. That's the top of the roof that extends the length of the house. And we know that to be a horizontal, right? For the most part, you know, the houses vary, of course. But in our scenario, very simple, A-frame piece of architecture. Okay.
Oh, we shouldn't have erased the back wall.
Well, probably not. Yeah, we'll find out in a second why. Yeah, that's right. But let's draw that ridge line first, okay? Which is that straight line that goes across. Does that go straight across on my paper?
No.
No, that doesn't look right. What does it have to do? Yeah, it goes to the same one that these two lines do, right? I only have two choices. Now, remember I mentioned that you only have verticals and lines going to the vanishing points, right? The horizontals, verticals and horizontals. This is an angle too, but that's an arbitrary angle. Okay, I've just kind of invented that, right? So you can make up angles that don't go to the vanishing points, but they wouldn't be identified as a horizontal or vertical when you're drawing. They'd be an arbitrary angle. Okay, so that goes down to here, right? So the length of the house goes to there. Now Ted brought up the fact that I shouldn't have taken away the back wall here. Why?
Because you need to find the center point for the back corner of the roof.
Yeah, right. Remember I found the center point here went up for that, right? I can backtrack, put the back, and your drawing will faintly have that in anyways, okay? I just took it away for reasons of clarity here. That'll go back to here, right? Where those cross gives me the back part. So here's this plane right here is the parallel plane to this one, right? So all you need to do is put an X here, as Ted is indicating, and do what with that? Yeah, I go straight up until when? Oh, I hit the ridge line, yeah. So here's a system here. That gives me the corresponding point to that, and I just connect the dots. There's another way of doing it, which would be, it's a little less effective, but I would be satisfied with it. Take this angle, slide it over until you get to the corner of the house here, right? And just pop an angle in there. It's just essentially parallel to that, right? This one tilts in just a tad, and that makes sense, right? Because this area is further away from me than this area, right? So these two lines would want to kind of come in a little bit. Okay? It's on a different plane, but they would kind of converge a little because the top of the roof is further away from me than that, so that makes sense. Okay. Any questions so far? So hoops that you need to jump through. Okay. Build a cube. Put a triangular shape on top. Make it a roof, right? The next one is a chimney. We're gonna, and I don't want the chimney to be peeking out from behind the roof. I want you to show me how the chimney will interface with the roof itself. Okay. So the first thing we're going to build is a cube. You can do this, you can build dormers this way, you can build anything. So a cube that's going to be up here somewhere, interfacing with the roof. So we're going to build a cube. What's the first thing you do when you build a cube or a box? Vertical line, right? I'm going to make it go so it's above and below the roof line, kind of floating right in here somewhere. Now I'm going to make the left plane of the chimney. How do I do that? Yeah, I go down to here. Okay, that line and that line need to go down to here. And I'm just going to arbitrarily end it. I'm inventing the drawing. Won't see the roof through it. So there's the left side of the chimney. I'm going to make the right side of the chimney. Where does it go? Yep, it goes down to that way. Remember, I only have two choices. Get rid of that. Now, what happens sometimes is students will go to the opposite. With the top of that chimney, they'll go to the opposite vanishing point they should. So the chimney starts to look like this. So beware of this. On this side, they'll take it down there. On this side, it'll go that way. So it starts to look like that. That's weird. And then they'll take it a step further and say, oh, I can see inside the chimney. So they'll just finish it off by going like that and put a hole in there. Yeah. Now, that's what you know, right? Here's where you get in trouble. You're drawing what you know, which is a chimney has a hole in it and I can look down in it, right? Can you see that from the ground level? No. This is why obeying these vanishing points are so important. It gives you a system to abide by. If I was just drawing this thing like I knew it, I would show that, naive artists do that sort of stuff, right? They're going to draw things like they know. I could see down in that chimney. I could even, draw the fire that's happening down inside the house. I'm half joking, but, this is where we get in trouble as artists. We're not abiding by a system that's going to give us consistency.
I don't see the bottom lines of the way.
Well, wait a second, Ted. We're close. Yeah, we're getting there. So, yeah, that goes down to there, and that goes down to there. Okay. Now, Ted's having a problem with where the chimney interfaces with the roof. What's that? It goes into the roof, pets into the roof. That's correct. It doesn't look like it. It looks like it's floating above it, doesn't it? Yeah. There's one line in that scenario that's not right.
It's the
Bottom right.
right.
Yeah, it's the bottom right. It's this line right here. What do I need to do with that line?
That front corner should disappear to the peak of the.
Yeah. This front corner, this roof, remember, this roof is slipping over top of the chimney, right? So all I need to do, it's a simple move, but it kind of works miracles. Take this angle, slide it over until you get to that corner. You're cutting the roof in front of the part of the chimney, in essence, is what you're doing. So yeah, this angle right here needs to be transposed right there. And it'll look like the plane of the roof is cutting in front of that side of the chimney, which it does. Well, now it looks like the chimney's going down into the plane of the roof. This roof is going cutting in front of the chimney here. Here, no, because that's running the length of the house. So if I was to draw rows of bricks on this chimney, they would go to the vanishing points. They would just disappear into the roof. Going down to that vanishing point. How about the rows of bricks on this side? Go to the other one, right? Et cetera, and then you can do your staggers.
If you were going to be 100% exact in this drawing, that right front edge of the chimney that looks like it's vanishing into the roof wouldn't necessarily be 100% parallel to this front.
Yeah, you would.
There's another vanishing.
Remember, this one and this one go to another vanishing point right
Right.
up there. It's a different plane, right? So that, in essence, would be kind of splitting the difference between this and this. Okay? Yeah, you're right. Our default is just to take that angle and cut it in there. But yeah, that's the complexity of the whole thing, right? It's all about angles. Angles are everything in drawing. All right, so that's your third hoop. You got house, you got roof, you got chimney. Okay. Let's put a doorway in this side. Doorway, notice I'm saying, not a door, a doorway. I'm not just drawing a shape on a wall. I want you to draw dimensionality. I want you to cut a shape out of the wall. Okay? So we've all drawn doors in the hallway, et cetera, et cetera. We know that typically a door is taller than it is wide. Okay? It's taller than eye level. It's above our heads, right? In a typical scenario. So, two verticals, right? One vertical, another vertical. This scale in this drawing is not going to be 100% accurate, so don't worry too much about that. How do I get the angle of the top of the doorway? Yeah, which one? Yeah. Same one that this is going to, right? It's parallel to that, right? So it tips down a tad. It's down to that bit. So now I've constructed the shape that's going to be the doorway. Haven't made the doorway yet, because I got to show thickness of wall. We talked a little bit about that when we did the hallway. Okay. It's because this is a doorway, I'm getting rid of this. It's just an opening into the house. Okay. Which side of the doorway will I see the thickness of the wall?
Right.
The right. I'm looking in that down that length of the house this way, right? I can't see around the corner here, so it'll be this one, right? Make it thicker than you think you need to, because again, it's have extra insulation. So I'm going to make the doorway that thick. Okay? There's an error everybody makes here, and I'll show you what it is. Now, how do I finish that little area off right there?
Shaded
Like
in.
the front edge to the
Yeah, look, I'm going down the length of the house here, right? I get to the doorway, I cut into the house, so I got to go to the opposite vanishing point, right? Here, that's why this 2-point scheme is pretty ingenious. It's just two choices, right? How do I figure out how much underneath I see of that doorway?
With your eye level. And then
from the upper right hand corner
Okay.
to that same vantage.
Yeah. So what Ted's saying, here's what most people will do with this, okay? Just watch this real quick, because you'll probably do it. It's okay, but just... They'll take this thickness, and they'll apply it to here. Because they think it's consistent, right? Makes sense, right? So they take this and they go, and they do that. And then they just split the difference there. That's not right. What Ted said to do first is to find the angle of that line. So watch what happens here. I don't know how far up to go with this yet. So you take this corner, that corner right there, and do what with it, Ted?
So the
Goes back to there. That's right. Yep. Now where that intersects this, I got to finish that up. That gives me that inside corner there. Then what do I do with that? Yeah, you could make it parallel to that, or it comes from there, right? See how that's thinner? Because I'm looking like right straight into the side of this thing. Here, though, there's a little foreshortening going on because my eye level is almost as high as that. What if the height of the doorway was equal with the let's say it's a short doorway?
you just
So,
have the one line.
yeah, so if the height of the doorway was equal with the horizon line, I would just see one line, right? I wouldn't see under it, right? Just be a line, right? Okay. So this is the mystery of it. Okay. So that's your second object essentially on the house, but third or fourth loop. House, roof, chimney, doorway showing thickness of wall. One last hoop. Okay? This is the fun one. Steps. Okay, this is hard. These are very, very difficult. There's a system you need to employ to do the steps. First of all, when you do steps, you better do them because you need them. Because I have had students draw steps, but they start to draw the steps from the bottom of the house. So they got steps coming down generally in this direction, and they're not needed. Why aren't they needed?
No door.
Well, number one, there's no door, and it's on the
Good
ground.
call.
Yeah. Unless there's a hill there, right? So we put a door in the space first, okay? On this wall. And let's move it up, okay? Now again, it's not consistent, right? Why would I have a door ground level here and just like a few feet away have steps to
It's on a hill.
But the house has a certain scale to it. You
Yes.
can kind of amend this issue of scale. I have to draw it at a certain size for you guys to see it, right? So I can't kind of be 100% accurate with scale. So the bottom of this door I'm going to draw, where the steps will come from, needs to go to what vanishing point? That's right. Goes to that one. Right? I'm just going to put it kind of right in the middle. Two verticals. Top of the door, which vanishing point? Same one. Now I'm not going to make it dimensional like I did that one, but you could. Now, so we got this shape on the wall of this house. It's indicative of the door, right? So now I got to build steps out from it, out to the ground, okay? So to envision this, I'm going to ask you to build a wedge or a ramp first, just to get it in your head. How you're coming down and out. And then erase it away and put a set of steps there. Okay, so we're going to build the wedge first. I'm going to drop a plumb line down from each corner of the door to the ground. You tell me when I hit the ground. Right there, that's correct. How do you know I'm hitting the ground right there?
That's where the house
is
is.
sitting on.
And the line I'm drawing is on the house, right? That line I just drew, conceivably, is on the front side of the house, right? So I know where I'm going to hit the ground when I get to the bottom of the house, right? So you got to start with things you know in a drawing and move to the unknown. I don't know out here where anything is yet because I don't have any points of reference. So I can't go out here and start drawing steps. I don't know where I'm at. I have no points of reference out here. So you draw from the known first and move to the unknown. Let's do the other side of the door. Down. Tell me when I hit the ground. So I've drawn now the. Do you ever see those steps like precast concrete steps set in like outside at garden centers or something or construction?
Yeah.
Home Depot, whatever. I've just drawn the back of the steps. Okay, that back side of the steps. That's this shape right here. Okay. Now we're going to push lines out across the ground, horizontal lines. 2 lines from here and here that are going to be the underneath part of the steps, or the wedge I'm going to draw initially. Straight out and straight out, right? Across the ground. Straight out and straight out. I'm moving out from the house. Are those horizontal lines?
No.
You do it to the
No.
vanishing point?
No, they got to come from this vanishing point over here, right? If it's a line coming out across the ground, it needs to come from, it's a horizontal line, right? It needs to come from one of the other vanishing points. It wouldn't go along it's going the opposite direction of the house here, so I got to come from the opposite vanishing point that the front of the house comes from. So they tilt down a little bit, right? Subtly. Okay. So down and out across the ground. Everybody see that? Down and out across the ground, or in this case, the floor, right? Boom, boom. Simple movement. Now we'll make it into a ramp. Arbitrary, I'm going to kind of make it, just like, you ever see those like tornado doors or those root cellar doors that
Yeah.
go into basements?
Yeah.
It's kind of that shape, right? Just a simple kind of wedge shape. So I'm just going to connect. Tell me when I hit the ground.
Oh, you already missed
Where did I hit the ground?
where it intersected.
Yeah, right there. That's the ground. I know that because this is one plane right here. It's a triangular plane, right? See a triangular plane right there? How do I finish off the wedge? That so happens it almost kind of intersects
So
with
that,
that.
that bottom point that you just created.
Yeah.
So that thing.
Yeah, I go up to here, right? Where that hits this gives me that point. Now how do I finish it off? Just connect the dots. So see the kind of transparent wedge that I just created there? That's the movement of the steps. Down and out. I don't know where the ground is out here until I project these lines out. That's why I want you to build the steps in this way. Because here's what happens. I've seen this happen. Students will get this right. And then they'll start coming out with the steps. And they don't know where to end them, right? Because they haven't conceived this down and out movement. Okay? So build the wedge and then erase everything away from the wedge. Away from the wedge. Away from the wedge. Is that right?
Yeah.
Sound like Barbara Walters. Okay. Except for this and this. Okay. So build that wedge, undo it. Remember, that's what art. All the art is doing and undo it, doing and undo it, doing and undo it, doing and undo it. You can even erase that away because we're going to clear the palette. Now, steps, geometric forms. They consist of a tread and a riser. A tread and a riser. A tread and a riser. Profiles here, they look like that. Tread, riser. Tread, riser. Tread, riser. Right? Okay. I'm at the door and I want to do the tread first. So I'm going to do a little line that's coming out from the door. I'm just drawing the closest side of the steps to me right now. Right there I'm starting. I got to bring a line out. From what vanishing point do I come? Come from there. That's right. Out. I'm going to make these too big so you can see them. So that kind of a little bit of a much of an angle. It's hard to do that in chalkboard. Now I make my riser. That's an absolute vertical. Be sure you do that because you're going to start to want to do this with these risers. You're going to start tipping them. Make them absolutely vertical. That's close. Tread from where? Riser. Tread from where? Riser. Voila, I know I've hit the ground. Because I have that line there. Don't put that line in first, you're going to keep going and going and going and going. You don't know where the ground is. So I erase away the excess. There's the side of the steps. It's overly simplified, but that's the side of the steps. Now, before I can do the other side, I first must find out where these lines are going, the long lines that create the corners of the steps. To what vanishing point do I take those? Yeah. Look at, I have one dot here, point, right? Outside corner, inside corner, outside corner, inside corner, outside corner, and bottom. Don't forget the inside corners. Everybody forgets those, and they just do the outside corners, then it gets messed up when they get over here. So these, yes indeed, will project out to here. I don't know how far, so I'm going to take them way longer than I need to. And these are all converging. Now, I'll tell you, when you're doing this stuff, you're going to want to start inventing angles. You're going to want these things to go at angles that feel better to you. No, you must obey that vanishing point. You have to obey that vanishing point for it to make sense. It's going to be tough. Now, how do I finish the steps off? Go to the other side of the door, right? The door is dictating the width of the steps in this scenario. Go right here. Do what now? Yep, I come out from the house like that. I'm drawing the partner of this one, right? Until what?
So you hit that first.
Boom, right there. So see the plane I drew, right? The top step is a very thin plane. It's closer to the horizon line, so it gets thinner and thinner. This is why when you draw steps, you want it to be lower than the horizon line. It gets real messed up if you don't. Drawing two students, I might have you do the opposite. Now I go down until I hit what?
The next corner.
Yeah, right there. What do I do with that?
With the vanishing.
Out, right? So I hit that, right? Then what?
Straight down.
It's a system. Out and down. If you have everything correct, you're consistent width of this thing. Erase this stuff away. Go back in and draw. Back and draw the corner of the house. That's it. It looks simple, but it's not. Very complicated to do. Very complicated set of operations. But it forces you into obeying the vanishing points, because otherwise it starts to look like funhouse steps. I know this is the theme today, but it was a Halloween, but we're not doing it.
So, in order for everything to really be in scale
Yeah.
in this construct, there should probably be a matching set of steps on that front door too.
Yeah. Over here, yeah, probably.
Right?
Yeah. I just can't. I can't draw it that way because of the limitations of the chalkboard, and the tiny. But yeah, this is out of scale. You can do yours out of. I don't care, as long as I see you're going to the vanishing points. Scale's not important to me. What's important is that sense of space, creating that sense of space. However, if you want to be mindful of that, I have no problem with that either. Okay? So as Ted's pointing out, to make this drawing look correct, this door would have to be shorter, it'd have to have a set of steps going down this direction, the other direction maybe.
Or could that be a window?
Or make it into a window or whatever. But I do want to see, one of the hoops is me seeing that you understand that. Okay? By the way, would I see the wall-floor relationship through there if it was an open door? Yeah.
Yes.
So I'd come back in and put that in, right? Would I see the ceiling? No, it's going to be hidden a little bit, right? Sometimes you see something, not this. Okay? That's it for the, you can draw your own house, out of your head. Doesn't have to be perfect. Use that as a template. It's fine. but simplify it to begin with, right? If you have dormers or a hipped roof, it goes like this. Hipped roof means not only does it go this way, but it kind of goes this way as well. That's kind of called a hipped roof. That's hard to draw, so simplify it first. Just make it a gable roof like I drew, and then I can show you how to make it into a hipped roof. I can show you how to put dormers in. If you want to put siding on, you can do that. So just to let you know here, I could bring a sidewalk out, right? Bring a driveway out, maybe here, come from the vanishing point, right? Sidewalk could connect over. Again, using the vanishing point with everything, right? I could make I'll draw the footprint of maybe a garage area, right? See, that's going to be the garage floor, using the vanishing points. Just draw a cube. Maybe make it the height of the house, bring that out. So there's the opening of the garage right there, right? See that? That goes back to there. I could put a little roof here that would extend back to the et cetera, et cetera. So you can build onto your house, you can put porches on. You can do, kind of sky's the limit in terms of creating space. Essentially, you're creating the illusion of space here. You're not making a house, you're creating space that didn't exist prior to you kind of inventing it on this piece of paper. So you can add and add and add and subtract and subtract and subtract. I could put a porch in. I could do a wraparound porch, make it a cube, et cetera, would come out around, show the plane of the porch. You can do a lot, as long as you're obeying the vanishing points, you can do a lot of stuff here, okay? But the basic things I need is the house, a roof, gable roof, a chimney, an opening into the house, showing the thickness of the wall, and a set of steps. Right? I'm going to show you one more thing here, so bear with me. I'm going to show you how I want you to set your drawing. Okay? Any questions about this? So what's going to happen? Oh yeah.
If we wanted to draw like the foundation, like the bricks that would be like the basement,
Yeah.
so that the stairs were at the
Yeah,
right height,
yeah.
could we?
Absolutely, yeah. So all you need to do is, add something on like that. You could add it on, or you could add it on. What tends to happen sometimes, students will forget to draw the steps from the, this would be the front of the house, right? And they'll draw the steps from here, right? They'll go down. They'll get the steps done correctly, right? Put the door here. So they're bringing, like I mentioned, they're bringing the steps down from the bottom of the house, essentially, right? So all I do is I show them, I say, well, if that's the case, you can redraw your steps and move them up, right? Or you can just extend the house down. So, like I said, you're creating space, right? So the only rules are the 2 points, 2 vanishing points, and the minimum set of hoops you need to jump through in terms of me seeing that you understand the concept, right? But yeah, you can make it as complex as you want. Okay? Add, a wing onto it, different structure or something.
Grass.
Huh?
Grass.
Grass. Yeah. Make a shrubbery, right? If you make shrubbery, realize the shrubbery has a footprint, right? So it's going to occupy, using the 2-point scenario, it's going to be in a cube kind of space, right? And then just soften it up and make it into. But understanding things as form, this is where students get into a problem. They understand shape. So oftentimes you'll see drawings that are just a series of flat shapes from people who are just learning how to draw. That's why drawing these geometric forms in 2-point perspective is really important. So on the next drawing, we'll do an interior view, okay? Don't worry about that right now. But in that drawing, I'll have you make a big cube and I'll have you subdivide it to create a chair, okay? So you have a big cube and you break it down into smaller cubes within that big cube. It's a really nice way of understanding form. Okay? Not just drawing the way something looks from a flat angle. Okay? So that's the advantage of this. Okay. So any other questions about this? Now I'm going to show you how to set up your drawing. Okay, so bear with me. Just one second here. So you'll have 2 pieces of paper. This is kind of as difficult sometimes as doing this for some reason for some folks. I don't know why, but just having kind of perfected the description. 2 pieces pieces of paper. Now you can see why, Brenda, that iPad Pro would come in handy. These markers wear down. I can just use this. So you get 2 pieces of paper. Don't need your drawing board, okay? And what I want you to do is you're going to fold and cut one of the pieces of paper in half, okay? So your drawing is going to be on this piece of paper. You're going to go over your other sheet of paper and fold it, fold it symmetrically in half, and you either rip it or cut it along this edge in the middle, okay? So you have 2 pieces of paper here and 1 here, right? These will be obviously smaller now, half the size, right? Everybody with me so far? Okay. And all I want you to do is take these 2 pieces of paper and attach them to that big piece of paper. The only problem is there's a couple things you need to be wary of. When you cut or rip this edge here, it's not going to be perfect, is it? So you don't want to attach these edges to that sheet of paper. You want to use the factory edges, okay? So make sure when you attach, you use the straight edges, okay? And you're just going to simply take those 2 sheets of paper and attach them as wings to the main sheet of paper you're drawing. Okay? When you attach them, use tape, okay? And tape it, we call it tacking, right? We're just going to tack it in place. 3 places is good. I always find tacking is much more effective than trying to tape that whole seam to begin with, because the paper moves and everything. So tack it in place, then take your piece of tape and go over it and seal the deal there, right? Does it work?
On the front or on the back?
Well, that's a good question. Obviously, right now it feels like it's the front, doesn't it? How would we make that the back?
Flip it over.
Turn it over. It took me about 2 semesters to figure that one out. So, somebody mentioned it to me. I said, well, why don't you just turn it? Okay, yeah. Because I want that tape up front. So what Ted's saying, I'm saying do this and then just turn it over to make your drawing, right? This will be on the back. The tape will be on the back. You don't have to worry about it. There's a really important thing here, though. When you put those 2 pieces of paper together, do not overlap them. Butt them up against one another. Okay? Because you're going to take these wings and you're going to fold them in, right? When you store your drawing, okay? So these are going to fold in on this. It's going to protect your drawing. And so it's going to act I'll show you here in a second, as a way to get your vanishing points there. So if you overlap those and you tape them together and you try to fold it, it kind of creases the paper. Now, I know I'm being a stickler here, but these sorts of things are important. So just push those 2 pieces of paper together and tack them together. Okay? Don't overlap them. Everybody understand what I'm saying, right? Push the 2 pieces. Just bottom right up against them. No overlapping. Okay? You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Push the 2 pieces of paper together. Don't overlap them. Right? I just keep saying this.
I get it. I see what you're going for.
Okay. But, my joke is that no matter how many times I say it.
Got it. Yeah.
Okay. Don't overlap. Butt them up against one. Then you take your long, and I got longer straight edges for you, okay? So that you don't, I'll go back to the office when we take our break here. And you can use the long straight edges because your rulers won't be long enough. Strike your horizon line, a little bit above, all the way across. This will be on the other side, right? Get your vanishing points way out here. They don't need to be right at the end, but neither do you want them like right here. That doesn't make any sense. You got to get them out here. The reason you want them way out here on these wings is it'll make your drawing look more naturalistic. If you make a drawing and your vanishing points are too close to the object, look what happens. It gets distorted looking. Okay, it looks like a fisheye lens. You get those vanishing points too close to the object, it looks like a fisheye lens. So what we try to do on the contrary is get them out past the edges of the paper. So this is a really nice technique. You kind of can carry your vanishing points with you. You've extended your paper a little bit, right? You just fold them in when you're done and put it back in your portfolio, and then unfold it and work on it. So you don't need your drawing boards for this. You know, you can just kind of use the tabletop. In fact, the paper will be a little bigger than the table, so spread out a little bit. You know, so you're not butting into each other in terms of doing this. Got plenty of room here. And get your vanishing points way out here. How am I sure that this horizon line is parallel on my paper, or actually horizontal on my paper?
Measure it from the top.
Yeah, measure from the top, right? If that's 9 inches right there, this should be 9 inches here, right? We went through that with the hallway lines, okay? How do I make sure a vertical I make is absolutely vertical on my paper? Yeah, I don't have to go all the way out here. I can measure from here, but measure it from the sheet of paper, both up and low, and that should be the same measurement here, and I know it's vertical, or i.e. parallel to the edge of the paper.
Right from where those two pieces of paper butt up against each
Yeah,
other.
you could use that. Yeah. Where they butt up against one another. That's right. Yeah. Not where they're overlapping. Is there any question about the setup here?
We're good.
Use a number 2 pencil, like a 2B, something like that. I'll get you the straight edge, okay? Light, delicate lines. You're going to do a lot of erasing. Don't push heavy with these lines, because you're going to make corrections on your drawing. You might find that you don't like the scale of your drawing. You might find that that you want to make it a little longer in this dimension than that dimension. So what do? You erase it. So if you go too heavy in a drawing to begin with, you're kind of stuck with it psychologically, if not actually. Okay, there's a psychology to mark making, which we haven't talked too much about yet, that's really important. Okay, any questions about the setup? We'll take a break here for a little bit.